from Oklahoma City.
We had no plans heading into Oklahoma City. We didn't even have a place to stay, which is completely out of my comfort zone. Luckily, Oklahoma's Welcome Center is wonderful, and they gave us some great ideas. The city has 14 unique districts, and we're going to start in Automobile Alley. In the early 1900s, Automobile Alley is where you would come if you wanted to buy a car in Oklahoma. I love that they're embracing the past while repurposing these buildings for things like housing, shopping, and dining. It gives the area such a fun atmosphere.
This is really cool.
This is inside one of the buildings we ate breakfast at, and while breakfast wasn't great, the building was pretty fun. One of the things I noticed about this city is how much they embrace fun around here. Like sampling alcoholic slushies while shopping. And when's the last time you saw a teeter-totter on a sidewalk? A few blocks south is the next district we are visiting, Bricktown, and it is another repurposed area. This used to be a warehouse area in the early 1900s, and now it's an entertainment district with a AAA baseball park, arcade, mini golf, restaurants, bars, a Ferris wheel, all along their mile-long Riverwalk. The Riverwalk eventually leads you to this amazing Oklahoma land run monument. The artist did such a good job with the details that you can feel the energy and chaos. It's almost like you're watching it happen. We didn't have the time or the weather to visit the Boathouse District, but I thought it sounded like a really interesting district to have in a city. Our next stop was City Center and the Oklahoma City National Memorial. I try to avoid sad places, so I wasn't going to come here, but so many locals recommended visiting, and they were right. This is such a beautifully done memorial. The chairs represent each person who lost their life and where they were at the time. This is the survivor's wall along the only remaining wall of the building. This gate with the time of 9:01 represents the innocents before the attack. And this gate with 9:03 represents the moment that healing began. We didn't go into the museum because the outside was enough for my heart to handle. We still have more of Oklahoma City to embrace, so we are now heading to the Adventure District to check out the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. I grew up in a house that celebrated Western history, especially Native American, so I was really curious to see what was in this museum. It did start out questionable with some statues of Charlton Heston and John Wayne. And Ronald Reagan and Lincoln. But once we followed the advice and headed west, things turned around. We were still in the corridor when we came across Annie Oakley's gun, and we've been to so many museums that use reproductions, so I kept questioning the authenticity of the gun, but everything in this museum was real. I was really impressed by the artifacts that they have here, as well as the way they display it. This is my favorite museum I've ever been to. I'm sorry, Matt Louvre and Smithsonian. I felt like the detail they put in every single room helped bring each subject to life.
I have a jacket just like that at home. boots are amazing too. I would totally wear these. And this scarf. And even this jacket is pretty cool. And the hat. These girls had style back then.
Look at those boots.
That's amazing. So when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a rodeo queen as a career. I had a white hat and white boots, and that's as far as that career went. The detail they put into this museum is amazing. Like, it looks like it's all dirty, and even the ground looks like we're walking on dirt.
This room was a fun room with a little bit of Hollywood Western for everyone, from Roy Rogers and Dale Evans to Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott. They also had a small section dedicated to the legend John Wayne. He visited during the museum's construction in 1960 and even became a board member, and he personally donated these items to the museum. They also had a fun trivia kiosk set up, and with the amount of westerns I've seen, I should have done so much better.
I'm not very good at this. It has to be my hands. That one has to be right. I know that one. I don't know that one. But look at this cute little outfit.
This room had some of the most beautiful Native American items I've ever seen. An hour and 45 minutes later, we have one last section to visit, the 14,000 square foot recreation of a pioneer town.
Interesting that he always saw this stuff in my life.
Keeping up with the cowboy theme, we are heading over to the Stockyard City area for dinner at the legendary Cattleman's. This is a classic no-frills steakhouse that opened its doors in 1910, and from the stickiness on the floor, I would say it hasn't changed much since its 1945 heydays. The food was excellent, and I'm not even a big steak fan. And the dessert was good too. Cattleman's is literally right next door to the Stockyard, and I came back first thing in the morning on my own so I could check out the cattle auctions. Stockyard City is the largest feeder cattle market in the world. The Stockyard's open to the public, so I was allowed to just wander around in these hardworking people's workplace, and I felt so awkward. I spent a long time watching what was going on below me, and I never did figure out why they changed pens or how they separated the cattle, but it was all very interesting to watch. This part I understood. This is where the cattle get weighed. And then I finally built up enough courage to make my way into the auction room. Luckily, a very nice man named Dennis stood next to me and started explaining things to me. So he asked me what I already knew about cattle, and I only know one thing. Do not get emotionally attached, and whatever you do, do not name the cattle. And he went on to explain that these are actually feeder cattle, so they go to a place where they will continue to live and eat, and it's the next stop that isn't as pleasant for them. I surprisingly really enjoyed this experience, and I have even more appreciation for the ranchers and where our food comes from. As we packed up and got ready to leave Oklahoma, we wanted one more good Southern breakfast of biscuits and gravy, and everyone we asked told us to go to the same place. I'm not even kidding. I didn't even know McDonald's had biscuits and gravy for breakfast, but there they are.
McDonald's biscuits and gravy.
And they were delicious. We had such a great time here in Oklahoma City, and it felt really good to be here. But now it's time to continue to make our way west.